Can a game teach me to code? The farmer was replaced, wants to give it a go. This game is all about programming a drone to tend to your farm. You're in charge of how it acts, moves, and what it does. Use resources that you've farmed to purchase unlocks, modifiers, and a very fancy top hat. And that hat is today's goal. I'm what can be described as a professional engineer. So let's see how long it takes me to unlock it. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you at the end. Let's go. We've got 3 main goals to get the hat, with the first being familiarising ourselves with the farm and the drone. You start on a 1x1 grid without much to do other than backflips and harvesting, and I'm no ISO speed, so I know what I should be focusing on. Unfortunately, after all of that effort, I've still only got 11 hay. And clicking the run button over and over got old fast. So it's time to start looking for more technical solutions. To begin with, I thought, why not just write the command multiple times? And sure, that worked, but it would still stop eventually. I was clearly missing something. That thing being the flashing unlock menu in the top right corner of the game. But hey, at least we can finally harvest without having to continually press the run button. And while I was there, I actually picked up a speed upgrade so that my drone would run faster as well. And I got the very important ability to wear hats. But now it's time to get serious. We've got to expand the farm and get these drones moving fast. Actually, cancel that. For hay, it's faster to have the drones not move. Hey, wait, we've already done that part. Next. Next up is planting bushes, which gives us wood. And bushes take longer to grow than hay, so now it actually does make sense to move the drone. Then after a bit more farming, we get a ton of new code unlocks. Functions, variables, numeric operators, which means I can finally complete my school maths homework, only 15 years too late. The next resource we needed was carrots, and they're a bit more involved than bushes, because you need to till the ground before you can plant them. And then using those carrots, we unlocked watering, which causes our plants to grow faster at the cost of water. This led to the only bug I've ever written in my life. I promise, no more bugs from now on. And over time, the farm grew in size, until I was finally at the point where bushes weren't giving me enough wood. So I had to learn how to harvest trees. You see, although trees and bushes give the same resource, wood, trees will give significantly more, the only catch being, if there's another tree planted on any of the cardinal directions next to it, it'll grow significantly slower. Basically, imagine a chessboard pattern. That's the pattern we need to create with our bushes and trees in order to get the most wood possible. So the first part is pretty simple. We just check if the Y position of our drone is even, and if it is, we plant a tree, and if it's odd, we plant a bush. Then we move over a column and swap where we were planting the trees and the bushes. Hang on, Pip, I said swapping then? Thank you, yeah, that's more like it. And with that, I'd say we've got the hang of the farm and the drone, and we can tick off goal number 1, moving on to goal number 2. It's time to start moving on to harvesting the tougher resources required for the top hat. But the amount of resources needed is crazy. To really speed up this process, we're going to need to start bringing in some extra drones to help out. Unfortunately, extra drones require treasure, and treasure can only be harvested through a specific method. But first, there's a couple extra mechanics I kinda need to fill you in on. Don't worry, I'll speedrun this. You know, watering your plants will make them grow faster. Fertilizer will make them grow instantly. Unfortunately, fertilizing your plants will make them infected, and when harvested, half of the output will be made into weird substance. You can then use weird substances on plants to flip its infected status and that of its neighbours, a bit like playing whack-a-mole. But for us, there's a much more specific use case that we want to make use of. Using differing amounts of weird substance on a bush will transform parts of, or the entirety of, your farm into a hedge maze. And hedge mazes are our source of treasure. You see, somewhere within the maze is a chest, and that chest is full of gold. You have to direct your drone to the chest and then harvest it in order to get the treasure inside. Treasure being the resource to buy more drones. When you've done that enough, you can afford to buy additional drones. Unfortunately, before then, you're going to need to solve a lot of mazes. And doing it manually every time can be very slow. If only there was some way that we could program the drone to solve the mazes for us. Oh, hang on. That's my job. There. Was that a PB? Anyway. Time to write some code. So first I'm going to set up a loop that will always run, which will be in charge of creating new mazes and then trying to solve them. The making part is pretty easy. We just took that exact code snippet from the mazes documentation page. The solving part is a bit more complex, especially if you haven't seen something like it before. It relies on the fact that non-looping mazes are always solvable if you continually try to turn left on every possible square. And if you can't turn left, you rotate the direction you're trying to turn by 90 degrees until you can move. This ends up meaning that you'll cover every single path in the maze, guaranteeing that you'll find the treasure. You can see this principle in action here. The drone follows a path left, reaches a dead end, and then turns around and comes back out the way it came, following the path onwards. It may not be smart, but it is exhaustive. And for now, that's all I really need to get my second drone. After letting it run for a bit, I ended up having enough treasure to finally purchase the first mega farm upgrade, which gave me access to my second drone. But being a good capitalist, I'll always want more. And there's a simple answer to that desire. Here, come on, I'll tell you the secret. Have more treasure, buy more drones. It's that simple. Who'd have thought? Just be rich. Which means we're going to need to start solving mazes much faster. We already have one rule for trying to solve the maze, but it'd be great if we could just tweak the principles slightly and get a whole other rule. Well, we can. Unsurprisingly, if we have the existence of a left-hand rule, that implies the existence of a right-hand rule. Wow. So at the start of the maze, now we're going to spawn our new drone and have it follow the left-hand rule, while our existing drone goes on to follow the right-hand rule, which should hopefully mean that the average time to solve a maze will go down. But we can go even further beyond. The drone starts by trying to head north from its starting position, but that can mean that the optimal path isn't tried until much later on. Like you can see here, both drones start by trying to head north, but the treasure was in the south direction, meaning they had to complete the entirety of that side of the map before they could come back to the starting position and then head in the correct direction. But if we make multiple drones, all trying to start in different directions, we can be sure that every path is covered as quickly as possible, only requiring 8 drones. So a bit of jiggery-pokery later, and what you can see here is the first bug I've ever written. But a small bug fix later, and the drones are flying. We are raking in treasure. And with that, goal 2 has been completed. Now the final goal is getting that damn top hat. But that requires, you've heard me say it, a ton of resources. And if you haven't realized already, my algorithms are not exactly what you'd call efficient. Unfortunately, I'm reaching the limit of both my time and patience on this farm. I kind of have a day job I need to get back to. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, by the way. I'm trying to get rid of that 9-to-5 hellhole. Anyway, sure, I can farm carrots, pumpkins, cactus, even dinosaur bones. But it's not exactly pumping out crazy numbers, you know? And much like the modern day corporate worker that I am, I'm being asked for more output with less time. So I think it might be time to outsource. At first, I thought I'd turn to my tried and true development strategy, stealing code from others that they'd posted online. I went to Stack Overflow, but for some reason, it's just a barren wasteland. So then I went to the next best place, Reddit. That's where I did actually find some code. And some of it even worked. But the problem was, I could only really steal from one person at a time. Multiple people's code didn't really integrate together neatly. So I couldn't really end up with the most efficient code possible. That's when I thought, what if I could steal from the collective knowledge of humanity without thoughts of ownership or ethics or copyright? There must be some way to do that. You're absolutely right! That's when AI popped its ugly little head in. So I started up my preferred AI of choice and started feeding into the context all of the documentation from the game that I didn't have the time or interest to read. And it started spitting out some code that I could use. Now that code didn't actually work, but with a bit more prompting, I ended up with even worse bugs. But after a bit more tweaking, I did actually end up with a couple algorithms that were decently efficient. Finally, I was ready to farm every resource that I could imagine, without having to use any of my brain power to do so. My pumpkins were merging, my polycultures were polyculturing. I didn't even touch on that in the video. That's a whole other problem set. My mazes were amazing. It even spat out code that ran sorting algorithms on the cactuses for me, until I'd finally run that dodgy AI code long enough that I'd unlocked everything in the game. And my goal was finally within my sights. The top hat. And that's when I decided I would write the final piece of code that I would ever write until Monday at 9 AM. All to celebrate us becoming one dapper little drone. This has been The Farmer Was Replaced, where I, the programmer, was also replaced by AI, and I think I just made myself redundant. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. The game was good fun. I definitely recommend it for anyone trying to get into programming, but they want a bit more of a fun avenue in. If you watched the video to the end, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.